Welcome to the School of Professional Design. I'm Donnie Tuttle, your guide to aligning your work with your unique professional design. I'm a professor at the School of Professional Design, and I am here to help you to unlock the professional life that you love and loves you back. So let's get out of the grind and play by your design.
Can I take you there?
In this episode of School of Professional Design audio experience, we are talking about the explorer. Those who are activated by new, by novel, by having stories to tell. The memory collector, the seeker, the finder, the asker, the doer, the path maker. I have to tell you the story of the one and only James Cameron and how he created his first record-breaking, all-time, highest-grossing movies of all time. He actually did 3 of them, but on his first one, it was inspired by him watching an IMAX of people exploring the Titanic wreck. Now, he said as an expert diver, this would be like the Mount Everest of diving. So he decided he would find a way to do a movie about it and make Hollywood pay for his exploration. And that's exactly what he did with the movie, The Titanic. Won Leonardo DiCaprio, and 11 Academy Awards later, the highest grossing movie at that time. Now it's moved down to third because of 2 other of his movies. All of that because James Cameron wanted to see something. I just want to go. I just want to see. The thing about explorers is they don't just have this curiosity. They have a can-do attitude that says, you know what? I'll figure it out when I get there. It's like Ernest Shackleton on the Endurance that was out for an expedition and it got frozen in. And no matter what happened, no matter what came against him and his crew figured it out. That, my friend, is the activator of the explorer archetype. The explorer is characterized by their adventurous, independent, and curious nature. They thrive on seeking new experiences. It almost sounds like the USS Enterprise. As a matter of fact, James T. Kirk absolutely would be considered an explorer. But for them, it's about new experiences. It's about new things, new territories, new sight lines, new sounds. They're always pushing the boundaries. They're always expanding horizons. Now, they are one of the 3 pioneers. The 3 pioneers, of course, are the explorers, the jesters, and the rebels. And all pioneers, they're one of the 4 groups of people professionally. So we have pioneers, we have visionaries, we have strategists and connectors. And within the pioneer group, we have the jester, the rebel, and of course, the explorer. But unlike the jester, who uses humor to challenge perspectives, the explorer, they seek out new adventures and experiences. And unlike the rebel, who really just wants to break the rules and challenge authority, the explorer is driven by curiosity. They're driven from a desire to discover. Explorers have an insatiable appetite to find a new way. By the way, we will get into weaknesses and strengths and all of these great things, but I will tell you, if you're an explorer, listen up. I will tell you this. Sometimes you will make the way difficult because you always want to find a new path and a new way, sometimes to do an easy thing. So sometimes you do overcomplicate things unnecessarily. We'll get into that in a moment. So all pioneers, all of the jester, the rebel, and the explorer, they all share a focus on innovation, on creativity, and on challenging conventional thinking. And that's exactly what you do. Tendencies of the explorer: you're adventurous, you're independent, you're driven by curiosity, by discovery, by a new way, a new thing, new invention, new way of doing a new business. There are lots of people who are explorers of business. It doesn't have to be travel. It doesn't have to be sailing around the earth or going to new countries. It can be exploring new possibilities in business, or new ways to connect with people, or new ways to use technology. There's a ton of different ways to be an explorer. But you're always, always, always focused on possibility. What's possible? And let's explore it. You are not the person that belongs to be in a place where you're caged in or in an office or in the same place. Mundane will drive you nuts. As a matter of fact, sometimes mundane will push you into your next exploration. Sometimes we need that. An explorer is the adventurer navigating through dense jungles. I don't know, Indiana Jones, right? Climbing towering mountains in search of new horizons. They're driven with a relentless curiosity and a desire to uncover hidden treasures. The explorer has an optimism about the new things they might find around the corner. I will say, one of your characteristics, explorers, is you might not consider the pitfalls that await. Or maybe more accurately, you figure that if a pitfall happens, I'll figure it out. You are super resourceful in the moment. Some examples historically: Amelia Earhart, fictional Indiana Jones. In business, we've got the Croc Hunter. Oi. Christopher Columbus, Ernest Shackleton, Marco Polo, Vasco da Gama, Lewis and Clark. So many, right? Lara Croft, Gulliver, Dora the Explorer. Swipe or no swiping. There are so many, and I believe that fiction is just stacked full of explorers because these are the people that tell us new tales. As a matter of fact, that's one of the motivators of the explorer. They want to go collect a story. They want to bring something back to share with the rest of us. In some ways, them having experienced something that others haven't gives them a feeling of superiority. Their motivations, new experiences, adventure. What do you mean adventure? They like unpredictability. They like going into a place to where they have to figure it out. Like, they're crazy in that that's what they think, but it works out. They're very closely related to an optimist in that regard. Curiosity, 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 curiosity. It killed the cat, but it made alive the explorer. They love expanding horizons, pushing boundaries. Their fears, well, their fears, of course, are stagnation. Their fears are confinement. Their fears are doing the same thing the same way. Routine, lack of novelty, boredom, lacking excitement, being trapped, being restricted. As a matter of fact, when those things happen, it's interesting. Sometimes they can become uncharacteristically aggressive. They're aggressive to move, but the explorers, they'll go alone if they have to. They're not necessarily social creatures. They love being amongst a crowd, but they can be almost lonely or lost in a crowd too. They may not be connected to the people around them, or they might, because some explorers are explorers in terms of relationships. And so there's lots of different ways where this strength can play out. Exceptional curiosity, independence. Independence. Some of them are interdependent. Independence, right there. You don't mind. Maybe you feed on. You love being alone sometimes. New opportunities. Explorers can be job hoppers. Explorers famously move on too soon. They could have brought something to completion. They could have gotten rich. They could have struck gold. But they're ready to move on. I remember the story of R.U. Darby, the guy who was famously 2 feet from gold. He surveyed a land area and just felt like there was gold, and he dug and dug and dug. And after he got a little bit, and he barely got enough gold to actually cover the expenses of all of his equipment. Someone else came in using all of his estimations. They just moved 2 feet to the left. Same place. And they struck the largest vein of gold that had been discovered at that time. R.U. Darby left. He did go on to a successful career in insurance sales, but explorers sometimes are really good at starting, but not so good at finishing. innovative, they're adventurous. Weaknesses, we've talked about a couple of them, but sometimes restlessness can lead you to lack of not just finishing, but lack of focus. You may lose sometimes touch with the reality, or I don't want to say goals, but really directional life with milestones and things that could go well. You lose focus, you lose activity, and you disengage. If an explorer is in love with what they're doing, they're either on or they're off. There's no real in between. You may struggle with routine, you might struggle with consistency, you might actually struggle with taking unnecessary risks. Like you love taking risks so much, it makes you feel brave and bold, and so you're doing it at times where you don't need to. It actually could hurt you. And so I will say this, outsource a little bit of your thinking, get a good sage, get that pessimistic sage to come over and tell you all of the things that could go wrong before you jump into your next adventure. Your most native business functions, I would say anything that's outside, anything that's beyond research and development, innovation, new product development, strategic exploration, expansion, new sales, new relationships, like it's new, new, new. Whatever's new, you belong there. New is you. How should you manage time differently? I think, believe it or not, you can strategically find ways to use different spaces. Even within your familiar, maybe there's one where you do your calls, there's another where you do your planning, there's another where you do your thinking. But you can even use familiar spaces for certain things, but I think you need to shake it up. Give yourself novelty. I would say ideating, having ideation time. What is that? That's where you're coming up with new ideas, new ways. Do not execute, do not do all of your ideas. That's something that you're going to want to do. Just because you have an idea doesn't mean you do it there, explorer. Put it out there. Bring other people. Poke holes in it. Don't take immediate action. Do things like I've been in like a social media class and they say, hey, when you come up with a video, think about how this YouTuber would do it, or how would Mr. Beast do it with a thumbnail, or how would he start it, and utilize other perspectives to give newness maybe to an old thing. Have your ideation time, okay? Give yourself some research time. If you don't, your mind's going to wander, okay? I definitely would say close windows on your computer that you're not using, because you might find yourself peeking around the painful thing you're supposed to do. To, what do we say? Use creative avoidance to avoid your pain, to go explore something new. And then you get lost and you found something really cool, but you didn't get your work done. Maybe close your tabs, okay? Maybe use time clocks. Maybe use goal periods, okay, to keep yourself on task so that you get things moving. But definitely keep things novel, keep things new. And if you have an explorer working with you on your team, don't lock them in. Give them new ways and new times to create new things. They're part of the pioneer groups. I would say letting them find new relationships in sales and in groups. Maybe it's trade associations. Maybe it is recruiting. There's so many ways you can benefit from an explorer just bouncing around and letting the universe bring them to these amazing things that no one else would have found if they didn't go out and go. How do you manage relationships differently? Maybe create some shared experiences. Bring other people into your wonder. You might be a real good tour guide, and I'm using that with air quotes because it doesn't mean you have to be an actual tour guide, but maybe find a way to share your experiences with others. Bring others into your innovation. Bring others into your thought, because I will say that your propensity to go alone and do things alone, it limits you. It limits you. Invite other people, or at least maybe light their fire. For you, limit the amount of, I think, find innovative tools. Like you're probably always going to be looking. You probably have Gadget magazine, but also just let yourself look. Let that be your leisure, but limit what you actually do. So I think if you're hearing a theme, it is let your mind wander, let yourself wander, but make your commitments few. Set adventurous and achievable goals. Make your goals almost like an adventure. Make a map. Make it a game. Make it something that maybe reward yourself for doing things. I get to the end of this. I get to go on a mountain hike. I get to go kayaking. You probably like those kind of things. Okay. In terms of you finding purpose, you're always just like, you need novelty, new people, new ways, new thoughts, new books. You should be reading and listening all the time. Find thought leaders in your world that you can connect with. Okay. And allow your curiosity to have space. And I don't know what you want to call it, but have a curiosity time every day. Be curious towards the relationships. Be curious towards the way that you're speaking or communicating. Be curious and allow that into the way that you frame your day. For you, I would say, be willing to slow down and speak to the rest of us. I know you're excited, and I know sometimes you might be worried about one-upping us. I would also say this: don't. You don't have to share about all of your adventures around the world all the time. Okay? The rest of us we're stunned with just one of your adventures. Pick the best one for the moment. Actually, I would say this also: communicate to us through adventure. Paint the picture of your adventures or other people's adventures. And if you're in a company or you're an entrepreneur, like the transformational process of your product or of your service. And be wide-eyed as though it were new, and find a way to make old things new. Relive it every time. For you, if you can outsource routine and repetitive, that would be great. If you can outsource conflict and going through walls, that would be okay regarding business. I do think that regarding if it's your business, you're going to find over, under, around, or through whatever obstacles are in your way. I think you're really good at obstacles. You probably don't care so much about bringing people with you sometimes. Be careful of that. You might want to outsource some of that care to a caregiver. Okay. Detailed projects, I think you can do, and sometimes you should do. Just be careful about which ones you take on. Okay. Sometimes maybe you've been coming across as the jester because you are a rebel, because you almost have this I don't care sarcastic attitude. It's possible. Sometimes your sarcasm is what helps you to go into the new. It's how you justify stepping into the new. Maybe you may seem like a lover because you love the things that you see. You build these connections and you inspire others, but you're more into it for the experience. You're willing to share it with a person or two, but it's more about what you get to go see. I guess if you were a company, I know you're just one being, but if you're a company, you might be National Geographic or Patagonia or GoPro. In history, you might be Amelia Earhart, who I know people aren't doing it, but I'm going to do it. I don't know what's going to happen along the way, but I'll figure it out. I think in all of this, the goal is that you don't let yourself get shut in. You don't let yourself become boring, dull, mundane, like everyone else. The scene of Mr. Incredible, if you've ever seen The Incredibles, and there's that scene where he's in his office just tapping his pencil and then running it through the pencil sharpener until it's just a nub. And he knows that he was meant for something more, but here he is in this poorly lit office. That's you. You lose your superpower when you don't give yourself the freedom to explore. I know it's gotten you into trouble in the past. I'm sure it has. And a lot of explorers shut that down. I'm asking you to pull it out. Pull out your desire for novelty. Allow that to be your compass. Allow that to be your guide. Don't expect the rest of us to understand it. You're a minority. Let's be honest. Not a lot of people are like you, but we're all mystified by what you do. We're all raptured by your stories. We're drawn into your adventures. Don't be surprised that we don't live them like you, but you must find a way to make what you're doing an adventure. If you're going to work out, make an adventure. If you're going to go find new clients, make it an adventure. Find a way to put yourself into crazy scenarios and find a way to make big things happen. That's what happens through the pioneer called the explorer. My hope is to encourage you to look, to think. You be you, my friend. Take that gift, shine it up, bring it to the world because we need your magic. Before you go, I have a question for you. Are you tired of feeling like you're just not effective, like you know there's something more in you? Listen, you're not weird, you're just alone, and we all need someone to simplify things. That's exactly what I do for free in the Powerful Peak Performance Masterclass. And I'm inviting you right now to go to schoolofprofessionaldesign.com/now, and I'll show you how to generate peak performance from your unique identity, how to create unstoppable vision, and take bold action. Start bringing 100% of yourself into your life and make your life your master work. I'll see you there. It's free. schoolofprofessionaldesign.com/now.